I mean, because we know that we're worth more, and that this contract is not fair. We need the higher levels to, know what it feels like when we're not there. We're not building planes, so you guys ain't selling anything.
Welcome to On Strike, a production of Workers Strike Back. I'm Emily MacArthur. At midnight on September 13th, 32,000 Boeing machinists in the Pacific Northwest unionized with the International Association of Machinists and Aerospace Workers, or IAM, went out on strike.
140%! We want our pension!
The day before, they had overwhelmingly voted down an insulting contract offer from Boeing corporate executives, with a remarkable 96% of the union's members voting to go on strike. Like workers everywhere, Boeing machinists are fighting for decent wages and benefits in the face of sky-high cost of living. The workers are demanding a 40% wage increase, which is the bare minimum they need given the ground they have lost in the past sellout contracts from the bosses, combined with historic inflation levels and high living costs in this region. They are angry at the attempt to take away their 6% employee bonuses, which they were promised in return for being forced to accept higher healthcare costs in a past contract. They're also demanding an end to mandatory overtime, which is running rampant in Boeing, denying workers the right to a life outside of work. Workers are also demanding a restoration of defined benefit pensions, a full retroactive reinstatement of pensions for all workers. The contract offer from the Boeing bosses falls very short on these demands. What's being touted as a 25% raise over 4 years is in reality much less when coupled with the cost of living and the removal of the AMP bonus. When these factors are included, the proposed raises don't even make up for recent inflation and future inflation, much less the huge blows from past contracts. The offer also fails to restore the workers' pensions.
Does it have to be PG?
No, not at all.
What I think about the contract offer, full of shit. We deserve way more better than that.
It's the worst one I've ever had. And I've been here 28 years.
I guess to keep it PC, garbage. And they want to take away everything but call it a raise, and people are mad. And that's the nicest way to put it.
Came up short. I think the expectations were up here. The last 10 years was hard. Took a lot of flesh. We need that back.
I'm Kaylin Nicholson with On Strike. As this episode airs, the ongoing strike of the Boeing machinists has forced the company to release a new contract offer. Stay tuned to the end of the episode for more details about this new offer and for reactions from workers on the Boeing picket line.
In the Seattle area, a job at Boeing used to be sought after. It was a path to decent wages and benefits and relative stability. With the attacks of recent years, many new Boeing workers are instead being paid less than the Seattle minimum wage, and the company has higher and higher turnover. These attacks on the workforce have gone hand in hand with the corporation's major struggles in recent years with safety and quality control.
We've been waiting 10 years for a contract, and so 10 years things have changed. And I've talked to a lot of employees that they're barely making it. Some of them are still living in their car and working at Boeing, and that's ridiculous.
Today's times, everyone knows what struggling is. And I think the health care is so expensive, everyone's scared.
It's that, apartments have gone up, houses have gone up, and it's hard to raise a family of 4 or 5 people off of the income, and we have to go up. They don't want to give us anything. I thought they'd meet us halfway. But they're not even meeting us halfway.
Us workers, we would come in, we do our job, we're told, do what we're told, we have good attendance. We're looking for something, to reward ourselves, and if we don't have it, it's like, why are we here? I could be at McDonald's.
The last contract that I think was 10 years ago, where they held a vote without a majority of the people being there, and it was completely BS contract then. And I think if we don't take a stand now, because there's a lot of seniors at Boeing, they're getting ready to leave, but this contract and the ones going ahead is going to affect the new generation coming into Boeing. Mm-hmm. And they just want to take, and they're not hurting. And I think they have an agenda, and their agenda is not us.
I was really offended when I when the new CEO, who says he's just for us to support us and to get us all on board, and asks us to vote yes, and then 4 days after our vote, we see him in the papers buying a $4.1 million home in Seattle. It's so out of touch.
The last CEO got some, what,
Yes,
$33
million, and the previous CEO got like a $60 million package. Yeah.
And all the while they're running the company to the ground,
Right.
you know, all these safety
Yes, after the two
violations.
crashes, got a $60 million thing.
The stock price is
Right.
yeah. And the
And-
company's in trouble.
And they
everybody.
spent tons of money in stock buybacks, which used to be illegal, but when they became legal.
Before we continue, please take a moment to like this video and subscribe to our channel. If you've been watching On Strike, you know that we bring coverage, political analysis, and strategy for the working class of the kind you simply won't find in mainstream media. Become a member of Workers Strike Back to help ensure we can continue to build our movement against the bosses and their political servants. And so that On Strike can continue to bring the kind of discussions about strategy needed to fight back and win. We don't run any ads, we don't accept any corporate money, and we rely entirely on donations from working people. Go to workersstrikeback.org and click on Become a Member. This current rotten contract offer Boeing machinists voted down comes in the wake of the machinists being sold out in a spectacularly shameful deal made over a decade ago in 2013 by Boeing executives and shareholders with the Democratic Party-dominated Washington state legislature and Democratic Party Governor Jay Inslee. The defined benefit pension plan, won by the unionized machinists through fightback in previous decades, was eliminated in one fell swoop. A defined benefit plan, which currently only a quarter of American working people have and which was won through labor struggle, is a plan that guarantees retired workers a decent income for life. This was replaced with a far weaker 401k retirement system, which leaves workers at the mercy of the ups and downs of the stock market.
There's a large portion of the union membership that want their pensions back that were taken away in the 2014 extension. That's a major deal for many of the people. That's the red line. And Boeing weren't even prepared to negotiate with our union about that. And that's not acceptable for the members.
Yes, I was here. They came in with that. We call that the old, the shuck and drive, where people was on vacation and stuff like that. And they came in and they voted on January 3rd, and people wasn't even back from vacation. And they come back and they're like, hey man, what happened? Oh, they said we don't have a pension no more.
It's bad, very bad. They try manipulate. The first contract was, they give us $10,000 and they took out the pension, and right now they give us $3,000, took out the benefit for the company make profit. I've been almost 10 years. When I started, I thought I have pension, but no pension, because they took the pension before I start a couple months. Number one, we need the pension back. This is what I prefer, because it's not fair to everybody, and when happened, it was manipulating. They do it second time, was not many people. They do it on Christmas time and New Year, and this is not fair. It's a scam. This is how I call it. I'll call it scam and undercover manipulate.
I got kids, and something like a pension would be nice. A little security for whenever I'm all done.
Everybody wants a pension.
Yeah.
So if you don't have a pension, your retirement is going to be dicey. So we all need pension.
I want the pension back.
And not only did Inslee and the Democratic-controlled legislature give Boeing executives the green light to carry out this shocking attack on the machinist pensions, they also gave Boeing a whopping $8.7 billion in tax breaks, the largest single corporate handout in U.S. history. The Democrats justified this historic attack on both the Boeing machinists and working people statewide by claiming it was necessary to save jobs. Boeing executives had carried out public extortion, threatening to take away the final assembly of the 777X aircraft out of Washington state. Instead of responding by helping to organize tens of thousands of workers into a fight back, both the Democratic Party politicians and, unfortunately, also the international leadership of the Machinists Union decided to cave to Boeing's economic terrorism. Predictably, Boeing executives cut jobs in Washington state anyway. By 2017, they had cut nearly 13,000 jobs, or more than 15% of the company's Washington workforce. Boeing made record profits in the years since then and engaged in stock buybacks to further enrich wealthy shareholders. Meanwhile, over the same decade, Washington state Democrats and Republicans have systematically underfunded public education, affordable housing, healthcare, and social services.
I mean, over the last 3 contracts, with everything just being so stagnant, and they took away the pension. I mean, you know, we'll keep the 787 program here if we take away the pension. I mean, what is that? I mean, and they lost the pension, and then the program left. People need to hold out as long as they can. I mean, because we need the higher levels to, know what it feels like when we're not there. We're not building planes, so you guys ain't selling anything.
The sole elected representative to oppose the attacks at the time was Kshama Sawant, who had just been elected to the Seattle City Council as an independent socialist and working-class representative, using her campaign to launch the fight for a $15 an hour minimum wage. In the following year, in 2014, Kshama's office, the 15 Now movement, and Seattle's working people won the $15 an hour minimum wage, despite opposition from big business and the Democratic Party. That wage is now nearly $20 an hour, and it's the nation's highest major city minimum wage. The major 737 MAX crashes that shook the international aviation industry and brought attention to the fraud carried out by Boeing executives show yet another example of how attacking workers to protect the bosses hurts working people generally. Attempts by workers at Boeing to maintain safety and quality control have been under relentless attacks from Boeing bosses. For those crashes, internal memos from Boeing executives proved they were absolutely preventable if they hadn't actively concealed new systems from pilots and airlines. The Democrats are fully implicated as well in how they've helped Boeing executives prevent safety oversight and regulation. In 2021, the Biden-Harris Justice Department gave Boeing a sweetheart deal that shielded them in perpetuity from criminal prosecution from the families of the nearly 350 victims of the 737 MAX crashes. Instead of taking safety measures or even responsibility, Boeing executives publicly slandered pilots in racist statements calling their qualifications into question. Now, due to this deal from the Biden-Harris administration, families will never have a path to hold them accountable. The Boeing machinist strike is itself incredibly significant for the labor movement as a whole and has the potential to win a historic victory. Workers Strike Back and the on-strike crew have joined Boeing machinists on the picket lines. The workers are angry and are eager to carry out a strong strike to win their demands. Many veteran workers have even told the media that they have been saving up since the 2013 sellout precisely in anticipation of this strike. Last year, UAW auto workers won increases of up to 150% to their starting wages through coordinated strike action. This lesson, that workers' demands can be won with a strong strike, unfortunately appears not to have been absorbed by IAM's leadership. Workers are angry at IAM leadership for trying to sell this bad contract offer as a quote-unquote historic victory.
I mean, Boeing was offering a wage increase which is below the minimum wage in the King County of Seattle. That's not a historically good contract, that's a historically bad contract. Offering less than the minimum wage in one of the counties where they have factories is absolutely disgusting.
It's been embedded in us to keep fighting for that, and that's what we were all thinking. And now it's kind of a sense of when we were offered the first offer, it's kind of like we were told, that's gone. That's that pension's gone. Like no one's gonna fight for it. That's the kind of weird feeling that it's like, wait a minute, that's the whole purpose, you guys been telling us to stick up for, and we want.
No, they should be behind us all the way. They agree with what Boeing said. Oh yeah, we came up with the best offer there is in life. Are they crazy? They knew that wasn't the best. That wasn't the best contract ever. I was like, how could they say that on national TV? That's ridiculous. They need to come up with something better than that. They know we deserve something better than that.
We put a guy in place that we believed in you. You came out and said, hey, it's recommended that we take this contract. Well, you should have came out and said, you know what? I don't think the union is going to go for this going. So can we get back to you had a week. Can we get back to the table and try to work something out? Talking about taking away the AMP and stuff like that, man. I mean, my personal opinion, that's a slap in the face.
So that was frustrating. Absolutely. I don't think that was the right move. I think they could have gone about it differently. They could have maybe said, this is what we've negotiated this far. We don't have a decision on this. You make the call. I absolutely agree with what the UAW did in that regard. They were more firm. They said, we can't recommend this to our union brothers and sisters, and we are recommending that we go on strike.
Unfortunately, the IAM leadership have also, so far, not taken a bold, combative approach in the strike. This includes not organizing strong enough picket lines, no mass community rallies to build on their energetic strike authorization vote earlier this summer, or otherwise building on the strike's momentum. And it doesn't reinforce confidence that the leadership attempted to avoid striking altogether, saying that there's no guarantee a strike will win anything.
Strike is the right of the workers. If they don't meet their demand, there should be a strike. If they meet their demand, they will not go on strike. So it's the right of the only right the workers have.
You know, without us, there's no wings, there's no planes, there's none of that.
Workers are concerned at how inadequate the strike fund currently is. It pays only $250 a week, which won't even cover rent. It also isn't even available until the third week of the strike. Many report having to scramble to line up temporary jobs to make sure their bills can be paid during a strike.
We know in the state of Washington, nobody can survive on $250 a week. The union did ask us to save some money to prepare for the strike. It's very hard for them to save on their paychecks when they're virtually just scraping to pay the rent. Somebody who's working to build these high planes, these high-end market goods that have high safety recommendations and high liability for any person making a mistake on any of these jobs, deserve much better pay than what they're getting.
Weak strike pay and a weak strike fund leads to weak picket lines. Boeing workers need the strongest possible picket lines to build momentum for the strike and put maximum pressure on Boeing. Winning the workers' demands is entirely possible, as UAW's victory last year shows, but it will require a strong, united strike. The 96% strike approval vote proves that workers are prepared to fight, but there is an urgent need for the strike to have an escalation strategy. There's also a crucial need to actively build for strong community support and solidarity from the wider labor movement and community to let the company know that it simply cannot starve them back to work. Workers Strike Back has been organizing alongside rank-and-file machinists who are building a group calling itself Machinists for a Strong Strike. The group is organizing around the demands from the rank and file, including 40% plus AMP, retroactive pensions for all, and an end to mandatory overtime. This is being combined with demands for doubling strike pay and the organizing of mass rallies of both workers and community to put maximum pressure on Boeing.
I've been on the picket line. I've been trying to rally getting some fellow rank and file workers together. I didn't know how to go about it, so I approached Workers Strike Back to assist me. They've been successful in helping rank and file workers in other organizations, at other businesses, helping organize them to either become unionized or to get higher wages or whatever their fight may be. And so because they've had success in doing things like that and getting $15 minimum wage passed in Seattle, I lent on them to assist me. Workers Strike Back has been very helpful in helping me create petitions for us to try and push the union to double the strike pay, for petitions to try and get more people to strikes, for petitions to try and get people to mass rallies. We're trying to get members together, rank and file members, to Zoom meetings and to picket lines so we can talk about these things and strategize about things that we want from Boeing as demands, first and foremost, because they're the big enemy. And secondly, on how we want, how we need to communicate with our union to make sure that the union is asking for those demands in clear and certain terms, and holding them accountable too.
Many workers feel that the leadership of IAM International, which helped push through the last bad contract here in Seattle, should now step up to put millions towards doubling the strike pay in this fight. They also believe the union should establish and publicize a public strike fund, which would allow working people everywhere to help materially build the struggle. Workers Strike Back also organized a rally and press conference with independent, pro-worker, anti-war presidential candidate Jill Stein on the picket line, alongside Shama Sawant, in solidarity with the striking machinists.
And I just want to remind people, what the struggle is that working people are up against now. It's outrageous that you have to rely on healthcare plans that are being cut out from under you when we all could have healthcare as a human right now for everyone through an improved Medicare for All plan. It's outrageous that working people have to struggle for a roof over their heads, and it's not only what $1,700 to pay childcare, so how are you then going to pay an additional $1,700 or $2,000 or $2,500, when the price of rent is skyrocketing? And I want to again applaud what Andre was saying about workers should have the right to a 32-hour week with the same pay that allows us to lead good and decent lives, to have rich family lives and community lives, to take care of our children, to be with them on the weekends, not be working mandatory overtime.
And our only option as the working class is to fight back, and that's why it's so crucial that the Boeing workers are on strike now. This is a 33,000 strong workforce, and there is there's a potential historic victory here that can be won. And Boeing workers also have leverage right now. The Boeing Corporation, because of the executives' complete mismanagement of the company, flouting all kinds of safety rules despite workers fighting to maintain safety standards, has driven the company to the point where they are in danger of getting a lower rating in their stock market rating. And that's why workers here have leverage in their strike. And it's a crucial historic moment for them to win something big. Let's make sure that working people across the region understand what's at stake, because it's not only for Boeing workers. If Boeing workers win significant victories through this strike action, not only will it benefit them and their families, family members like Lota, it is also going to benefit all working class people, because we know an injury to one is an injury to all, but also when the victories are won, the victories ripple out to the entire working class, just like the UAW victory last year.
I've seen lots of Democrats come and visit us on the picket line with some nice treats, but I haven't seen any of them make those concrete, substantive support endorsements on the picket line or in public, for that matter. I know that they're out here. It's election year, so they want to have the photo ops. They want to be seen as pro-worker. A lot of the people, if you look on the Facebook page, they know better. They say they know that there's people out here just looking for photo ops. That's not necessarily going to win you your votes. I feel like the working community and the union membership is waking up to being sold out by both parties. And I personally am calling for workers to abandon both major parties and to start our own party, something which represents us as the workers, and something which doesn't listen to big corporate business and doesn't take corporate funding and doesn't support endless wars. So for this election, I think we should support a candidate such as that. I think the union should endorse somebody like that.
The labor movement needs to end the lesser of two evil strategy. Spending millions to elect Democrats has been a losing strategy for decades. I believe supporting Jill Stein is what we need to do in this election.
We urge working people from around the Pacific Northwest who are watching this to go to the picket lines to show support and send a message to Boeing Corporation that they face the anger not just of their own workers, but the wider working class community as well. Union members should pass solidarity resolutions with the machinists that include big strike fund donations, from tens of thousands of dollars from smaller unions or millions from the biggest unions like UAW and the Teamsters. Members of Workers Strike Back are bringing these solidarity resolutions in their own unions. If you're a union member who wants to do it also, go to the link included in this episode's description to get the model resolution on the Workers Strike Back website. A strong strike fund and community support are essential to the strong picket lines which are needed to build momentum and keep cohesion during the strike, and to show the bosses the strength of the strike in hard numbers.
Boeing's latest contract offer includes a 30% pay increase over the next 4 years, up from 25% in the last offer. The strike has also forced Boeing to back down from their attempt to take away workers' annual bonus. But this new offer is still very far from what workers have been demanding and what they need, which includes at least a 40% raise plus annual bonuses, restoration of defined benefit pensions and retroactive pensions for all, and an end to mandatory overtime.
I feel there's just a number of bad faith things in this offer. And to me, there's a number of negative things that remain in the contract that have yet to be addressed. And throwing a couple more percent at us that isn't even close to what we started at, and not addressing some of the key items, it's not enough.
I want to see more a general wage increase, a better one. The last time we got a wage increase was 16 years ago. Inflation's gone up 40%, if not more. We kind of need more. We're barely able to survive off of anything. We're barely able to pay for our own bills. And the position I'm in, like, I can't really pay for anything if I were to go live out on my own. I just barely make it with maybe $100 to spare for an entire month. That's not enough. People have to work multiple part-time jobs. I know people have dedicated their lives to Boeing because they just haven't been making enough money.
I mean, not having a pension is not having a secured retirement. Are you serious? And 30% doesn't hit the mark. To me, the 40% that we asked for just breaks us even with where our wages should already be, and gives us an opportunity to have a better starting point for what we're trying to negotiate on the end of this contract for the next one.
But I also know people who work 12, 14-hour shifts just to make ends meet. It's insanity that it's okay that people who sit up there and do nothing, and the people who have to sit down on the floor and work on the airplanes for more than half the day are barely able to pay for themselves and their families. It kind of says something.
The concessions that Boeing bosses did feel forced to make shows the enormous potential power that workers have in this strike. The strike has already cost the company more than $500 million. Many workers are saying, both on the picket line and on social media, that this new offer is completely inadequate. The union leadership has now come out with a statement that says much the same as well, and which also condemns the disgraceful way in which Boeing has attempted to circumvent the union with this offer. Because of this, they are rejecting this new offer outright. Machinists for a Strong Strike and Workers Strike Back are calling for the union to escalate by organizing mass rallies to force Boeing to meet all their demands, and to double the strike pay to help build the strongest possible picket lines in this historic fight.
Boeing needs to feel the pressure, not just from us, but like from outside too. Like, they sent this best last final offer out to the news media, like, and even the previous offer out to the media, like, it was already a done deal. Like, these workers are going to be back in the shop in no time, and that's not the truth of it.
We're going to have to force their hand by standing out here. The more we refuse to work, the more they lose. We're willing to sit out here and dedicate our time to make a change, because things have to change for us.
This strike will decide not just the wages and working conditions for tens of thousands of workers, it will affect workers everywhere. A victory in this strike can be a huge boost to the labor movement and working people generally. It can set a precedent for important issues like defined benefit pensions. We just saw how the UAW bump rippled across non-union employers across the South after the historic strike last year. All working people have a stake in this fight at Boeing.
This is not just a fight for Boeing workers, this is a fight for the entire labor movement as a whole. We need to have the community and other workers from other businesses to support us, and we need to support them in return when they have their labor struggles. If we are able to win a good contract here, that will set a good precedent for future battles and for other unions to do the same. One for all and all for one.
In addition to supporting and bringing you analysis of the Boeing workers' strike and discussing the strategy and tactics needed to exact the biggest possible concessions from Boeing, Workers Strike Back and On Strike are continuing to actively build for the strongest possible vote for left independent anti-war candidate Jill Stein, including by organizing rallies together with Abandon Harris and the Stein campaign in Dearborn, Michigan on Sunday, October 6th, and in Seattle on Tuesday, October 15th. You can go to the Workers Strike Back website event page right now to register for both of those rallies, whether you plan to attend in person or via live stream. We're also fighting to defend Seattle's historic $15 an hour minimum wage victory, won by Shama Sawant's Socialist City Council office and a fighting movement of working people 10 years ago. It's now under attack by the all-Democrat Seattle City Council, as we reported in a recent episode. If you're not yet a member of Workers Strike Back, please go to workersstrikeback.org and click on Become a Member. If you're already a member, we're holding a membership dues drive right now and are asking members to please increase their dues, if possible, to support us in these historic fights. If you're donating less than $15 a month, please consider raising your dues to $15 a month in solidarity with our fight to defend Seattle's hard-won, highest-in-the-nation minimum wage. Any successful attacks on the minimum wage here will be a green light for Democrats and Republicans to attack workers everywhere and roll back other minimum wage victories. We can't let them do that. We need to go on the offensive against the billionaire class instead. Solidarity.